Thank you for joining our opening event, Our Histories and Ourselves, faculty and staff panel discussion for the 2021 Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month celebration. Today, we are delighted to have 4 panelists, Zhang Cho, Dr. Lilia Jewell, Dr. Leah Lee, Professor Xin Yi joining us. They will be sharing their family and individual histories, personal experiences, and thoughts on their hyphenated identity. Let's welcome them. So would you please briefly introduce yourself? We will start with Zhang.
Hi, I'm Zhang Cho. I work for strategic marketing right now as a research specialist. Previously, I was with the IT department. I'm also the project manager for guided pathways and the employee experience. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Zhang. Lilia?
Hi, I'm Lilia Jewell. I'm the director for online education and academic technology at Rockland Community College. I've been at the college since 2007. So, I'm not the real veteran here, I guess. Someone else has been here ahead of me. But we serve faculty. Our department serves the faculty for teaching and learning and training, and also, of course, the students, and helping to make sure that they succeed in online education.
Thank you, Lilia. Leah.
Hi, my name is Leah Lee, and I'm professor of English. I teach honors English writing 1 and 2, and I teach regular college writing 1 and 2. Starting next semester, I will be teaching world literature, and I'm also an honors mentor.
Thank you, Leah. Xin, would you please introduce yourself?
My name is Xin Yi. I'm an assistant professor of a computer studies program. I teach programming like C++, Java, web design, and also the Office 2019, 2016, yes.
Thank you. So we are going to start with our first question. When and how did you or your family come to America?
So I actually came to America in 2001, right before the 9/11 happened. I came here as a student. I was actually a student at Rockland Community College, and then I transferred to Ramapo after I finished RCC, and then somehow I end up back in RCC to work.
Lilia?
I came here in a teaching visa as a teacher. So I started teaching in the high school because I was hired for. But in the Philippines, I work in business, but I also taught in higher education. So I taught a few years in the high school level and then eventually moved to higher education and then back to admin, which is also part of my expertise.
Thank you, Lilia. Leah?
I came to the United States to pursue my PhD. It was a very interesting story because there was a professor who went to my university in China, and he said the 2 schools are to establish sister schools relationships. So I became one of the first few students sent by my university to the United States. And I never thought I was going to stay. I thought I was going to get my PhD and then go back, but I ended up staying.
How about you, Xin?
I come here after I finished my college study in 2000, and I studied in the City College of New York. Yes.
Okay. Second question, what specific languages do you speak? What specific cultures and holidays do you and your family celebrate? We are going to start with Zhang.
Yeah, so I speak 3 different languages. I speak Hokkien, Tagalog, and English. My English, I guess it's pretty good since in the Philippines, that's one of the requirements. when you go to school there. You have to learn the language, which is Tagalog, and English, since Philippines was under the United States for quite some time. I also can understand Mandarin. Used to be I could also understand Hungarian, but I lost all of my Hungarian friends, so
Oh,
can't understand it anymore. Uh, for specific culture and holidays, I think it will be the Chinese New Year. Philippines has a lot of Filipino Chinese folks, so Chinese New Year is one of the biggest holidays in the Philippines. Um, and also, it's not really a holiday, but in the Philippines, they do observe All Saints Day more than here.
Thank you, John. Lydia, how about you?
well, the Philippines as a Catholic country observes Christmas. Christmas in the Philippines is like, once the BER starts, September, it's Christmas season. You will start hearing Christmas songs. And then the whole month of December is just very festive. All the stores are lit and decorated, and it's almost like nobody wants to work. And forget it about the week around Christmas, you can't get anything done. No one does anything. It's almost like even people are going to work, they're not working. That's just like the practice. We have the Good Friday, which is a very, very big thing also. And we kind of like celebrate Easter, but not the way Easter is celebrated in the Holy Week. It's more the Good Friday that's really being observed, not the Easter Sunday. Although of course, but someone is but we don't have Thanksgiving. That's very, very interesting. I think lately they're kind of like celebrating it. I'm like, how? But and it's becoming very commercialized. They started, I think now after I've left for so many years, they're also celebrating Mother's Day, Father's Day. When I was there, we don't have those. It's been maybe because of globalization, everything that's happening worldwide, they're doing it there.
And
But
so,
very Catholic.
So what are the languages you speak?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm bilingual, basically, English and Tagalog. But because, as John said, we were for 300 years, we were under the United States, no, 400 years, 300 under Spaniards, about 100 under the Americans. So we have very strong influence of Spanish in our language, so I can get by with people talking in Spanish. And we had Spanish in college, but because we don't use it every day, but I can get by, I can understand when they're talking.
How about you, Leah?
By ethnicity, I am mostly Chinese, but some Korean. Yeah, and but I don't speak Korean. I look more like a Korean because when I go to a Korean store, they all speak Korean to me. And that's embarrassing because I don't speak Korean. So I speak 2 languages. I speak English and Chinese. And for the holidays, when I was in China, we had many, many holidays. But like John and John said, we mainly celebrate Chinese New Year. That's a huge holiday in China. So I still celebrate Chinese New Year here for all these years.
How about you, Xin?
I mainly speak English and Mandarin Chinese. And we celebrate, actually, before I have kids, we only celebrate like Christmas or Chinese New Year. After I have kids, like young kids, we celebrate every holiday, like last week we have the Easter's, and the February we have Valentine's Days. We have to prepare a little gift to their classmates. And we have all kinds of activities involved. So I really like, all kinds of the holidays. And I feel like we have to let our kids to learn something about our nature, I mean, from our cultures. So I send my kids to the Chinese school to learn Chinese, although they don't like. They like to speak in English at home, but I said, like, you know, you're gonna have to speak in Chinese. But my youngest one, the 4 years old, he always speak English. Yeah, it's very hard for them to learn Chinese at home.
Thank you. So our next question, please share one of your fun memories growing up as Asian Pacific Islander descent.
I think
You're gonna
for
start
me,
with Zhang.
I think for me, it's really the culture and the food. I like to eat. I like to cook too. So in the Philippines, you know, as Lydia said, we were occupied by Spain and America, even Japanese. We were occupied
Yeah,
by
that's
a
right.
couple of countries. So the diversity of the food in the Philippines is really great. It's almost like in the United States where um, you have different variety of food and cuisines that you can find. Philippines is it's almost the same. So that's the one thing I do miss from the Philippines is the food, and of course the culture. You know, growing up there, you had two different backgrounds. You're Chinese descent, but you're also celebrating the Filipino culture.
Lilia?
Well, very much like what John is saying, you know, again, rooted on being a Catholic country, it's very, very familial. Everything is family based. And we have parties during holidays, and you don't even have to invite other people because the family is so big. And we eat the whole day. And my daughter, when she comes home, she would like wake up and she tells this story to everyone. Like she wakes up, there's a full meal on the table and it's just there, all the food, rice cakes, puddings, I don't know if you've heard the word dinuguan, it's a blood pudding, all of those. And that's just what she's looking for all the time when she goes home. So it's a very, very close knit, very, and you have so many extended families. So when birthdays, every extended family is invited. So you always have a big party. We always say you don't even have to invite visitors because the family alone is big enough to serve. And then, like even here in the United States, when we have birthdays, not anymore because all the kids are grown up, they have their own schedule now. But when we came here when we were little, like we go to Poughkeepsie, one of our relatives, and we stay there over the weekend. And it's just like 24 hours eating, talking, and playing mahjong and all of those. It's very nice.
Leah?
I would also say it's the celebration of the getting together among family members. It's kind of hard to get used to the modern idea of a family because when we talk about a family, we talk about 3 generations. We talk about uncles and aunts, and we talk about the extended family. And so the celebration, the food is the central theme, but it's really about people being together there, loving one another and showing support to one another. So those would be the fond memories. Thank you.
How about you, Xin?
I think one of my good memory about China is we celebrate Lunar Chinese years and we get together and the little kids have the red envelopes with money inside and everybody just eat. There are so many food for like we celebrate 15 days. We have all kinds of different food and then also for the September we have the Mid-Autumn Festival. We have the mooncake. I like the mooncakes and we can play with our friends and with no homework, just to celebrate. That's one of the best memory, yes.
So now everyone who joined our panel discussion knows that, you know, food is very essential for Chinese art and then all, you know, Filipino culture, Chinese culture, all the Asian culture. That's why my little one, she always asks me, what food do we eat for this holiday? That's how she remembers what celebration we are doing. Next question. Please share one incident when you or your family experienced the clash of cultures. For example, challenges that are posted by your hyphenated identity or your diverse backgrounds. We are going to start with Zhang again.
I think it's more of like how holidays are celebrated here. So like almost everybody's saying like how Chinese New Year and Christmas is big. And even in the Philippines, Chinese New Year is big too, even though it's Philippines. But coming here, Chinese New Year is not really seen as a big holiday. It's probably one day you go to Chinatown and you watch the Lion Dance.
Yeah.
But in the Philippines and in Asia countries like China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, these are really, it's probably bigger than the Christmas Christmas holiday or the holiday December, Christmas to the New Year season. So I think when the first time I came here, it was a little bit hard to celebrate because it's very toned down here. But you know, I got used to it. I still celebrate it, but it's not as crazy as going to your traveling to your uncles and your aunt, to see them, traveling to grandpa and grandpa to see them too on Chinese New Year.
Lilia?
One of the something that was inculcated in my mind was when I started teaching in high school. I started teaching in a Catholic high school run by Dominican, the Dominican nuns, the Dominican order. So when I was first interviewed and when I got hired, and the field principal now is telling me, giving me tips and clues on how to succeed. And the one thing that she told me is, not everyone especially the senior students' goal is to go to college. And I think based on her experience with Filipino teachers, that she needs to say that. Because in the Philippines, if you are in senior high school, every other family, maybe 99.999%, you are going to college. That's the goal. That's the way you get to the next level. So that really, I remember that all the time, because what happens is you bring your own culture and your own priorities. I think that's what she saw with the other Filipino teachers, and she made sure that I know that. So that I always remember that there are different goals, and the goals, especially that educational goal, going to college, is not necessarily the goal of a senior high school student.
Leah?
For me, one cultural conflict as a teacher is when we were in China, students didn't work, right? None of the students had work, full-time, part-time jobs, responsibilities. Your responsibility is to be a student and bring home good grades. So when I first became a teacher, I lacked this knowledge. I was teaching as an adjunct. And when students complained that I gave too much assignments, I was not understanding them, I get offended. And I felt, I'm giving you these assignments for your own benefit. But eventually I got to understand the students and their life circumstances. So I became a much more understanding teacher. So that was one of my cultural conflicts here in this country.
Xin?
I want to talk about this big difference, like in China, when we were in college or in high school, in elementary schools, our grade is not a privacy. Is that everybody have the grade. We have like a bulletin. Okay, everybody's grade will be on the wall, so everybody can see everybody's grade. So it's like a competition. So everyone want to be like in the first 100 rank or first 30 rank, so you can have some kind of like a scholarship or some kind of thing. So in China, all the scholarship are based on your grades. So if you have like a very good grade, you have top one student, you have probably $1,000 for this semester. But if you like if you don't pass the exams, you're gonna fail the whole, the whole grade. You have to start all over again. So that's one thing in China. But here in United States, everybody's grades is like the privacy. We definitely cannot put everybody's grades on the bulletin, otherwise we'll be in trouble. And we are not allowed to talk to the parents. But in China, it's very common, like the parents can know everything about their child and the other person's child. It's like everything is like a public information. That's one of the culture difference. Yes.
That's the same in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually, my little one and I, we had a discussion about that the other day, that not only on the professor's store, but everywhere you can see everyone's name with their grade, and then they rank you from one to the last, from the top one to the last.
Yes.
And everyone knows your business. Yeah. So that's, unfortunately, that's part of our culture, that, no privacy, and coming here, we kind of have to adjust and then learn from different cultures. Next one, please share an example when you were being essentialized as Asian Americans or being marginalized as Asian Pacific Islander descent. We're gonna start with Zhang again.
I think for me, it's people, most folks who don't know me think I'm Korean, because I think of my facial structure is geared towards more a Korean face than a regular Chinese face. But and also I think with the popularity of Korean drama and Korean pop groups, everybody thinks that everybody from Asia is from Korea. Of course, it's not. Asia has just it's so vast that there's just so many different ethnicity that are under the Asian umbrella.
Lilia?
Yeah, I have two very interesting experiences a while back. And it's not really maybe something that's done generally, but it was very interesting. Like one time I was in a supermarket, and I think another time I was in a mall or a shopping center. Like I was in a shopping center, and some people, I can't even remember what happened. They're just doing something that's misbehaving or very unruly or disrespectful, that I was just kind of offended, and I'm kind of like standing there, right? And then they were talking to me and just like trying to get me to react, and I'm not reacting, and I didn't say a word. And then the response was, does she even understand English? So I had to walk away. So that's one. The other one was, I was in the supermarket and we were talking about different countries. And then someone asked, oh, do you have malls in the Philippines? Do you have supermarkets there? I said, yes. So those are like, and I think even to this day, that in some sectors, I'm not saying in general, that they still think, like, especially now that it's so globalized, 15, 20 years ago, I could still see the difference between the United States and the Philippines in terms of shopping, in terms of, merchandise. Now you go there, everything is the same. Everything that you have here is there. Sometimes you even get better merchandise there because, and then it's a little bit cheaper. I don't know why they do that. But yeah, there's still some things that, it's very surprising that sometimes different culture, because they're not aware of it, like there are some, they conclude.
Xin? Oh, Leah. Leah, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I have experienced much racism in this country. There are a lot of experiences that I don't think we have time to go into details, but I relate to Lilia's experience of someone assuming you don't speak English. or someone assumed that you have Medicaid, you're on government assistance. One particular incident happened a few years ago in Good Sam Hospital. I went there for a sonogram, and the receptionist assumed I did not speak English, and she also said, "Where is your Medicaid card?" And her attitude was just so terrible. And she made me wait, even though there was no one there. She just ignored me for half an hour. So eventually she said, "Where is a Medicaid card?" So at that point, I was about to explode. So I said, "Do you mean my insurance card? I work at RCC. I am a professor." And I got so upset with this experience that I came back and talked to my colleagues in the department. And their advice was, well, when you go to see a doctor, you got to dress up to show that you are not on government assistance. I said, well, why do I need to dress up whereas other people do not need to? Not that I was really dressing down. I was just normal, right? So this was just one of the experiences. But my son also experienced lots and lots of discrimination. And that's why he left his high school and came to RCC as an early admit. And thank God he loved RCC. So that's that.
We can have follow-up question later on, and then Leah can share more details, and any of our panelists can share more details. Xin?
I feel like I was being essentialized as an Asian American when I tried to find a job in 2007, 2008, when I tried to find a job. Now it's very hard to find a company who support the H-1B visa. And after I, finally I got hired by RCC, and I have to, they provide all kinds of documents. I had to pay the lawyer fee. Finally, everything gets stable. But the thing is, it's very hard to find a company to support the H-1B visa. And also it takes a very long time to get a green card. And for me, I think it takes like 7 years to get the green card. Yeah, that's one of the things I don't like to be treated as Asian Americans, yes.
Unfortunately, right, the legal status is something challenging for a lot of us. Next one, how do you embrace your racial and ethnic identities? Or what do you like the most of being Asian Americans?
For me, I embrace it through, my love of cooking. I do cook a lot of Asian dishes, sometimes mixing fusion, I do, enjoy hanging out with my friends. I do have a good good diversity of friends. But, we do attend cultural events if we could, like what I said, like for Chinese New Year, I tried to go to New York City just to go to Chinatown and to see the lion dances and stuff. I do attend the Philippine Independence Day celebration in New York City too, because New York has a big population of Filipinos, and even though I'm pure Chinese, I did grow up in the Philippines, so I do embrace both culture, and of course when I came here, I embrace the celebrations here, St. Patrick's Day, Thanksgiving. I remember the first year I came here, my first Thanksgiving, I had to make the turkey. I don't have an idea how to make the turkey, so I had to follow a recipe. But that's it, that's just how I just embrace everything.
Lilia?
Yeah, one of the strong quality of Filipinos is the ability to assimilate. I guess maybe because of being colonized by other countries, we like adapt and adapt. So there's Filipinos everywhere in the world, and it's so surprising how you see them assimilate, especially in the United States, how they can assimilate to the point that they kind of like forget where they come from. They become so Americanized that sometimes that's also not a good thing, because it's like you lose the identity. What are you now? Are you a Filipino American? Are you an Americanized Filipino, or something like that? One of my regrets, and I think it was who was that? Zine, saying that it's very difficult to teach her younger daughter, younger child, Chinese. One of my regrets is not using the language, the Tagalog at home. And so my younger daughter barely could understand Tagalog. So she came here at 3 years old. In 1 month, she's an English speaker, native speaker. So I think one of the things that I would say, although it's really nice to embrace the culture, but it's also important to keep your culture. Mm-hmm. And it also gives you more edge. It makes you more competitive, because bilingual, trilingual, just like Janjan here, he can speak 3 languages, things like that. But we Filipinos assimilate very, very quickly, especially, we are educated in the American system, English, our business is in English. So in the United States, we can get in immediately. And in other countries where there's English, they also do. But even in other languages, like Norway, I have a lot of relatives in Norway. They're in the industry, and they're very successful. Just really very good in assimilating.
Leah?
I think for me, the advantage of being Asian American is I have these 2 lenses, meaning the East and the West. Because if you look at philosophy, the Eastern philosophy is very different, almost the opposite of the Western philosophy. So oftentimes this would allow me to teach by using the best of both worlds in my class. Like for instance, today, there is an assignment to do tonight, right? The time is 11:59. So from the Taoist point of view, if you have to stay that late to do your homework, that's harmful to your health. So I told my students, I said, if you work really late tonight, I would rather you turn in your homework tomorrow, and I won't take points off, because that's for the benefit of your health, particularly your mental health. So students probably don't understand where I am coming from. They like the idea that I am being flexible, but that's really Taoism, meaning to understand the world from a very different point of view. And so that's what I like, being a teacher in the classroom, using ideas from both the East and the West, and in serving students. Thank you.
Xin?
Thank you so much. I feel like in my family, we most likely celebrated the Chinese culture, because in Chinese cultures, we have a lot of contents to cherish, like food, like there are a lot of stories, and they have a lot of good things like teas, right? There's so many things we can enjoy our life, and we really like to celebrate all these Chinese cultures. But like I said before, I have 2 sons. They are one of them is 6 years old, the other one is 4 years old. For the 6 years old, I sent the 6-year-old to the Chinese school to study Chinese for 2 years. Every day I have to force him to write the Chinese characters. It's like he doesn't want to do anything about it. So I feel like sorry for him, because in the future, he probably won't understand the beauty of the Chinese poem, the Asian poems, like how beautiful that is, and also these Chinese stories. But you know what, that is their life. And also I told them, even though they think they are pure Americans, but maybe someone else will think like they are not really a pure Americans. They think like they are Asian or Chinese Americans. Even though, you know, sometimes their classmates probably say, okay, I have one Chinese friends in our class, even though my son are both born in New Jersey, but still they treat like as a Chinese, as Asian students. So this bring up a topic which is a very hot topic right now, is stop Asian hate. I believe actually for the past 20 years when I was in Americans, I do feel sometimes we get biased in our Asian communities. You know, people from like all over the neighborhood, sometimes they treat us differently. Yes, and also I do in some, even in RCC, sometimes I, you know, one time one of my, you know, friend or colleague said like, you should go back to China, which in the very bad situation, I don't want to mention about that, but this happens in every day of our life. And we do feel like RCC does need to support us. And not only is RCC, but you know, we have to stand up for ourselves and to be treated equally. Yes, not only for us, but also for our kids. Yeah, because I do have two kids, and they are pure Americans because they were born in Americans, and they think they're Americans, but somehow they were treated differently. Yes.
So Xin just brought a very important, event that, incident that I want to, invite all of our panelists to react to it. What are your thoughts and your reaction to the recent Asian hate incidents that happen around the United States?
Maybe I'll start.
Sure.
I think most of it stems from not enough information. It all starts there. And then, of course, some people who are using it for their negative goals, like especially politicians, and that's exactly what's happening right now when they're using the China virus, and it's really more the politicians, like depends on which side you're in, on the left or the right, Democrats or Republican side. But I think it's more of the not really knowing, like a Korean is different from China, and the virus is not a Chinese person. The virus is a virus. That is a fault of one particular person and not the fault of all the Chinese people. So I think maybe, and I can see it happening right now, they're really doing a lot of, especially with the vaccine, they're doing a lot of communication, imparting knowledge and things like that. I think we really need to do a lot of that. And that's why when you sent this invitation, I was very, very happy to participate. Because just like my experiences, I've said, people react to you because they don't know. And maybe when they're aware, they will be reacting to you better. And that's just human nature. That is just human nature. So, but of course, it doesn't mean that if they're not aware or they're not informed, they'll be less sensitive. But we cannot control that. Those are other people. But something that we can control, maybe at RCC, is really more information. Really, let's just make things that need to be known, more people to understand them better.
How about Leah or Zhang or Xin, if you want to add something else?
I want to say when this new wave, right, of Asian hate started, my first reaction is fear, intense fear, because I have experienced it before. When I lived in Queens, I certainly understood because I used to take the number 7 train to Manhattan 3 times a week, teaching at Baruch College. So I was very aware of Asian women being the target of hate. Even when I was waiting for the train, I was always very aware of who was standing in front of me, behind me, and just to be on guard. So I had this at the back of my mind. But the escalation of the Asian hate really makes me understand what African Americans in this country have been going through for all these years on a daily basis. I basically feel free when I am at RCC or when I was studying at a university in the US, because I understood people on campus usually are better informed and they are less racist. But so I consider these places as my bubbles. But as soon as I step in feet outside of these safe places, I am constantly on guard. For instance, I stopped walking in my neighborhood because you never know who has a gun, right? In this environment, it's better to be cautious. When I go shopping, I am very aware of where I go and where I avoid not going to. So the fear is truly very, very real. And because I know the hatred is very real.
Jiang, would you want to respond, or Xin, would you want to add something?
I think for me, it's really more of the information, like what Leah said. Leah just said, like you have to inform folks or people. They need the right information so that they can assume stuff. And I think the reason for all this Asian hate is because people assume stuff. And that basically that's all it started with. Assuming that this is like, you know, like the China virus, or what they call it. They used to call it Chinese virus. Virus is a virus. It's like flu is a flu. Virus is a virus. It's not related to a country. Um, and if you cut down on all this misinformation, I think all this hatred that we're experiencing right now would wouldn't wouldn't be as bad as it is right now.
Thank you for our panelists sharing all their personal story, their thoughts, you know, to the current incidents. Now we have another 7 minutes. I would like to open the floor for our guests to ask questions to our panelists. So if you would like to ask a question, you can turn on your mic. Yes, Jada?
Yeah, I have two questions. So first, I know that because I'm Black and I'm Hispanic, so within my own community, often there's internalized racism that goes on, where if you're darker skinned, you're, you know, there's a certain discrimination. So is there any kind of internalized racism that you guys face?
In the Philippines, actually, it's almost the same thing. There are Filipinos that are really dark skinned, and there are Filipinos who are light skinned. You know, and it's the same experience as you experience. Some darker skinned Filipinos do get, you know, racialized. You know, they're not looked upon at the same level as the light skinned Filipino.
So is it really, sorry, so is it really like a worldwide kind of anti-Blackness that goes on and anti-dark skin, would you say?
I don't think it is like a worldwide issue. It's just how, I guess it's, how can you say it? It's just the way things are in the Philippines. I'm just giving you an example in the Philippines. Like I cannot really say anything about here in the United States. But in the Philippines, just how, you know, we were colonized by Spain for 300 years. We were colonized by the United States for maybe 100 years. I'm not too sure. So the I guess the mixture in the Philippines changed so much that the original Filipinos are almost like gone. Um, and you can even read it in the history of the Philippines, like, the original Filipinos are totally different from the current Filipinos right now.
Thank you. And my second question was, so as a Black person, a lot of time, we face a lot of discrimination, and it kind of feels like you're the only one going through it because it's so heavily centered. But you don't really think about other cultures going through similar things. So how, as a person, how can I be an ally and help out?
Can I reply to that question?
Yes, please, Leah.
I think the answers is in solidarity, in unite all minorities, and including people who would like to support the cause for social justice for all. I think the panel discussion today is one such attempt at reaching out to other groups and for all these groups to unite and to stand as one in fighting against racism. That's what I think.
Thank you so much. I have to go, but thank you guys so much for sharing your experience. It's been really helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to ask their questions? Yes, Shamika.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to just follow up on the student's question about allyship. For those of you who know, I am a member of the EastWest Center, and one of the challenges that the EastWest Center has had, which is focused on diplomacy and curriculum initiatives that help bridge the Occidental West and the Oriental East, right? The Occident and the Orient, which has been the perpetual binary. And one of the challenges that is often faced is not just allyship in your own individual realm, but also institutional allyship. And so with the EastWest Center, one of the primary initiatives is also like improving institutional curricular objectives. And so when I was a participant in a seminar, it was for Southeast Asian studies, to infuse that into the curriculum, because Southeast Asia is often left out of conversations about Asia. But then also what courses are available to give students the opportunity to learn. So I would put the pressure not just on people's individual actions, but also encouraging that our institutions, our departments, that they think about maybe you need to add some more classes to your curriculum that focus on Asian American studies. Is there Asian art class? Is there Asian history class? Asian philosophy class? Asian architecture class? Medicine classes? Like, there are all these other ways to prove and support allyship, and not just be nicer to Asian people, but also promote curricula and knowledge bases that support learning about people from those backgrounds, the histories of those backgrounds, infusing it within the curriculum in a way that allows for that cultural enrichment and exchange. So I'll stop there, but the EastWest Center, that has been our mission. I'm glad to be a part of it, but I know that it's a big uphill climb, and it's been going on, I think, for over 60 years with the EastWest Center. So there's a lot of work to do, and hopefully we can see our own curricular objectives include more Asian-oriented areas of study.
How can I get more involved in that? Is there like some sort of club, or do I email you? What kind of thing is that?
So the EastWest Center does have undergraduate initiatives as well. I will put my email in the chat, and I will be happy to connect you to them. They are based out in University of Hawaii and Washington, D.C. And I am considered one of the like ambassadors. So whenever there are faculty development programs or anything like that, I usually get notified about it. And I'm very active in the New York chapter, or at least I try to be. So my email is there, but if anyone has any questions about the EastWest Center, that is one way, definitely. And for people who are interested in developing courses pertaining to anything relating to Asian studies or Asian American studies, by all means, I'm on the curriculum committee. I look forward to reading those proposals.
Thank you, Shamika, and feel free to send me the link when we have this recording ready to share with the community. We can also include those information for everyone to check it out.
Okay, great.
And I'm happy to announce that we will actually offer Asian American Lit that we haven't been able to offer in the past 10 years this summer. So if you are interested in taking it, I'll be teaching it. And I embedded a lot of the history. And so part of the reason was because of last May that PBS released 5 series of Asian American documentary. And so if you are interested in watching some of them, our library actually has all of them for free. And I also included 2 of the free documentary on our website. So if you are interested in checking them out, those are very, it's painful to watch, but at the same time, it's part of the way for us to understand the past history so we can connect back to what is happening right now, that we can reflect on it. And like all of our panelists say, that we need to work on the biases and assumptions, because we ourselves, we do have those biases and assumptions that we need to monitor, and we need to constantly reflect on and learn from it. So in order to do that, we have to turn inward. And then also, I think Shamika made a very good point that instead of bottom up, we also need to do top down, which is the institutional and also the departmental curriculum. It has to take the whole community, take the whole country to be more aware of it. And so I hope that today's event, the opening event of Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, actually gives us an opportunity for us to start to discuss and start to think about all these issues. And we have more events for this entire month. And I would want you to join us and continue to engage in discussion with us. So thank you very much for joining us. And I will want us to continue the discussion, even though we have to end our panel right now. But feel free, to send me emails, or if you want resources, we can reach out, and we can even see if we can continue to post things on our website. Our Melissa and Danielle worked really hard to put together the website. So eventually, maybe we can continue to use the website to share information with our community. Once again, thank you very much. And thank you for our panelists sharing their experience with us. And I hope that you have a good day.